Well, welcome back to the Product Based Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Chelsea from Families Creations, and she's here with us today as a PBA member to share about her business, her story, some of the shifts she's seen in business. So thank you so much, Chelsea, for being here today.
Thank you.
So exciting to have you to share your story. So let's get started with that. Can you tell us about your business, what your business is, what amazing products you make, and then tell us the background on how you got started with your business?
I guess a little bit of what I do now is I design travel maps that are of the United States, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. I saw a really cool idea of travel maps, but they were all very outdoorsy and but I loved them. I started with those and then I was like, I'm going to create my own line of travel maps. So I have travel maps. I have lighted, like rustic animal decor, I guess. Minis. I do a little bit of custom work on the side, but I really enjoy doing the maps and the lighted things and just kind of being able to add something that always has a story to it.
Tell us
It's,
how. Oh, go
yep.
ahead.
Oh, I
Keep
was
going.
gonna say it started. I've always been crafty, very crafty. Prior to Pinterest, I enjoyed doing crafts, and I had talked about it around the campfire a ton with my dad and my mom and my husband, and it was like, yeah, one day, yeah, one day. Started with a Cricut, and it was like, I just wish it had did a little different. Worked in the healthcare field, and when COVID happened, I was working 7 days a week and a lot of hours a day, and it was really taxing. I had a tiny baby at home, and my husband was on the road, and I decided I needed a shift. So I kind of shifted into teaching, which I had no background in, but it was totally fine. It was a company that I had worked with prior, but they don't have specific start dates for all of their programs. So we had a start date, and then it got pushed and pushed and pushed. And I got the final push, and I was like, you know what? Now's the time. I'm doing it. I'm buying a laser. My Cricut's not cutting it. So just went forward. I bought a laser and was like, we're gonna see what we can do.
Now, I want to elaborate on some of these travel maps that you
Hmm.
mentioned and some of these pieces that you mentioned because they're beautiful, made from all sorts of different types of wood, and they're just so stunning. And they're also hand painted. So give me the full picture of if someone hasn't seen one of your travel maps, what it looks like, the love that goes into it, how you make it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So lots of love. Lots of love. I'm huge on family. I'm huge on memories. I have a lot of great childhood memories, and a lot of them had to do with traveling. And we didn't travel a ton, but we went camping and we went fishing and we did these different things. And I was like, those are the memories that stick out to me the most. And now, as a mom, we really prioritize memories over things. And so, I saw an idea actually when I was in Arizona of a travel map, and I was like, that is a really cool idea. Like, you fill the states in as you go, or you fill whatever in as you go. And kind of just grew from there. It was like I actually had somebody that was like, oh, we want to play golf in all 50 states. And I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. So they wanted a travel map for that. And then I had somebody come in and said, I'm from Puerto Rico, and that's technically one of the territories. Like, why don't you have Puerto Rico on your map? And I was like, oh, that's a really good point. And the U.S. Virgin Islands. And so it kind of adapted from there. And then I was like, I love the maps that I'm making right now, but do they match my normal home decor? Not necessarily. So I was like, I'm going to design something that could go on a wall in any room and in any space. It could go in a kitchen, it could go in a living room, it could go in a camper if that's an RV, whatever, what people want to do to be able to track their travels. And kind of talked about it with my friends a little bit, kind of talked about it with my family, and they were like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. So I just started designing from there and was like, what works with any decor, what's kind of timeless, what is a story piece. A big part of it is the story. Like, I was traveling to Laramie, Wyoming, to drop my kid off for college. It's the only real college town we have in Wyoming. And I saw this travel map. And so that was kind of the idea behind it. And what I really wanted to lean into was just, again, the memories, and it's a conversation piece. Like, oh, wow, you've been to five of the, 48 states. And then you've also been to Puerto Rico. Tell me about that, so
Mhm.
I really like that part of it.
Paint a picture of what it looks like to someone who can't see it.
So I have the storyline series is what I called it. But it's kind of more modern but timeless patterns, I would say. So I have one that looks like kind of like diamond peaks. And so it can mean a lot of different things for somebody that just likes the geometric look, or like I want to hike every 14er in the United States. I have one that's like an Aztec print that could go with Southwest style or with like just anywhere, I feel like. And then I've got one that looks like a quilt and, uh, can kind of remind people of their grandma's house or growing up or different things that just make them really feel like home. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I have a couple different ones, and then one that I have that I actually don't have listed on my website yet is one that's the University of Wyoming. And I've lived in a few different states, and everybody's like, why are people from Wyoming like so hardcore Wyoming Cowboys fans?" And it's like, because that's all that we have here. We have this one thing. So um, again, it's just it speaks to the people that are here where I'm from, where I live, my heritage, my roots. And then it also speaks to a broader range of people that, again, are like, yeah, I do like traveling, although I don't want a lake map sitting in my living room or something, which again, I started with those and it was totally fine. But yeah, I have always had a little bit of an eye for decor. And when I was thinking about it and like, what would I want on my living room wall? I wanted something that was a little bit more timeless and a little more classic and that could match with any style.
And what are the materials you use in your products?
Wood, all wood.
Mhm.
So I use kind of a variety of wood, but almost every frame that I build is from reclaimed wood, unless I have a custom request otherwise. Reason being, again, I like storytelling, and a lot of the reclaimed wood that I use comes from old Wyoming snow fence that is torn down and replaced. Um, and living in Wyoming, the wind is brutal, winter is brutal, and that alone has a story that it could tell if it had to. So, I use a variety of different like Baltic birch and maple and different things like that for my like flat pieces. But then the frame itself is from reclaimed wood. So that tells its own story. I hand stain them so that you can see all of the wood grain come through. Part of the reason is that like wood is a natural creation and there are flaws in all of it, just as there are in everything else that is made by nature. And I like that story of it too, like, oh, that knot is really cool, or oh, that imperfection is really awesome. So instead of trying to hide the imperfections, I kind of magnify them, I guess, with stain, and it brings out what they call character. And I like the different character that comes from using that material.
Yeah, they're so stunning. Your pieces are so beautiful. And what I love about the travel maps is so many small business owners have those travel maps that they color in depending on where they're shipping their products to.
Yes.
And what you have would be like such a memorabilia to your business of this beautiful wooden and travel map where you can fit in the states depending on where you've shipped to. So I think it's another great story in that way too.
Yes, absolutely. I've had a couple of people actually that were like, "Oh, I need to do that for all the states that I've shipped to." So, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I love
fun.
that.
Now tell us about some of your wooden animal collections. Just tell us more about the different types of animals, what they look like, how people use them in their home.
Yeah, so when I was coming up with that collection, it was a little bit different of like trying to figure out how to word it because the first thing that kind of comes to mind is like a nightlight. You turn it on and glows at night, and it was like it's so much different and so much more than a nightlight. I mean, they have like the minimal amount of layers is 9 and up to 13. And so they all have a scene within them of something more, I guess, than just an animal. So outlines I have bear, moose, bison. I also have a hiking boot. Elk. I'm trying to think of all the animals that I have that are lighted. But yeah, within them, they all have a different scene. So there's like a mama bear and her cubs, and there's a moose and a baby, and there's like a bison that's standing kind of solo because they're more kind of solo creatures. Um, and again, there's like a moon or a sun and mountains and the animals and trees and just things that kind of calm and center me and is nature. And so that's kind of where that came from. And I started with them not lighted. And then it was like, how cool would that be to have that lit up and kind of, it's like a, I don't know, it's calming and a story piece. And yeah, it could be used in a nursery, sure, as a nightlight or in a kid's room as a nightlight. But most of the people that have purchased actually are like, I want that on my mantle. It's like a statement. And again, I hear a lot like it just has a story within it because it's got this scene inside of it. So yeah.
Yeah, and how did you learn how to make all these pieces? Because they're so intricate. Like you said, some of your animal pieces, it's 9 different layers.
Hmm.
So if someone's visualizing it, it's basically like 3D of an
Yep.
animal with all these different layers. There's different hand painted elements, there's stained elements, there's a background, there's an animal, it's made from wood. It's so stunning. So how did you learn how to do all of this? Because it's so
Total trial and
intricate.
error.
Really?
Yes.
I love that.
So I started again with them not being lighted. So the majority of them were like 5 layers and they stood on their own. And it was like, I wonder what would happen if I could figure out how to put a light in here. And so then I just, again, I kind of trial and errored, tried a couple of different light types, tried to see like what got warmer and what didn't warm up because obviously you don't want a piece of wood to catch on fire. And so it was like, what type of lighting works best within this piece? How can you illuminate the layers with it not being overpowering and not being underwhelming and all of the different things. So it really was just like trial and error. How much 3D effect do I want? How much spacer do I put in between each of the layers? Or do I do any spacers? Like, does it speak for itself in that way? Or, kind of different elements of what would help with my vision of what I had when I was thinking through it. And so I had to create the different designs and create extra layers and then figure out how to put a spacer in that wasn't visible and how to hide the lights and do all of those different things. And it was a learning process, but I was really passionate about figuring out how I could best convey the message that I was trying to convey that was in there.
Now, were you always good as a kid growing up, maybe with your family, with wood, outdoorsy, these types of concepts that it helped you as you make these beautiful pieces and the custom pieces that you make too?
I would say so. My dad, his family had a construction business, and so he was always very handy. My mom was crafty, and she had a real design eye. And so I think the combination of those two things, like, my dad wasn't gonna let me just like sit back and watch things happen. So, like I learned how to change the tires on a four-wheeler and how to check the oil in my car and how to wire a room and how to work with wood. And then in high school, when I was able to take workshop classes, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best. And so I signed up for every workshop class that I could. Obviously, they had all of the tools that a person would need. And so I built my mom patio furniture, like an Adirondack set when I was in high school. And we did like construction framing and different things like that. And I was like, I really like working with wood and making things. And again, it was challenging in a way of like, no two pieces of wood are the same. Everything is different and it's got a challenge in a different way, but it really made me have to critically think of like, how would I cut this piece to make this work? How would I make this framework? This looks like more of a bow and arrow than it does a piece of wood. So I just found a passion for that. And then there was no lack of you can do this from my mom and dad. And so it was like, oh, that would be really cool if you could make that. Or, oh, you made that and that's really awesome. Or, how did you take this broken thing and then turn it into a complete set of furniture? And one of the coolest things I did in shop class was they replaced our wooden bleachers in our gym with plastic bleachers. Well, all of the wooden pieces of it went to workshops. So I made a table for my parents out of this old bleacher wood, and it was so beautiful and so worn and took so much work to try to turn it into what it was. And once it was done, I was like, what a cool story. I mean, it was in this gym for however many years, and that kind of sparked the like something that tells a story is really cool.
Mm. Now tell us how that leads into the name of your business, Family's Creations.
Yeah. So again, campfire talks with my family, and my dad and I were like, all right, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna do this. And he was like, yeah, we'll do this together. And I knew that it was going to be challenging as far as like a learning curve is concerned, because it's so much computer work. And so again, the confidence that my dad has always given me of like, you can do hard things and you can figure this out. And so we brainstorm all the time. We decided we were going to open Family's Creations together and be partners in it. And he is like always the cheerleader of the team, but he's helping like, build my workshop and do like the bigger project things. And like, I'll create files and I'll send them to him and he'll cut things. And the again, like grand scheme of things is that I have tools that were my grandpa's and then my husband's, not his grandfather, his great grandfather. We have tools from him that I use, like hand saws and hand planers and these different things. And so it was like, we're going to come up with a name that encompasses all of that because it's not just like me and my dad or me and my boys in the workshop together. It's me and my boys, and we're using tools from generations. And we have like the coolest old wooden toolbox that is, again, my husband's great grandfather's. And like, we don't have all these new fancy tools that we're like, oh, we're just gonna, start this business with all these brand new things. It's like every single piece of equipment that we work with has its quirks and it has like some flaws. And, you have to hand sharpen blades and you have to do these different things. And that's part of like all encompassing. It's way more than just me working on things. It's so much of my family, his family, our family, combined family, that it was like, okay, this really is families and not IES. I did a lot of research on that.
Mm.
But it's a lot of families that have come together in a way to make it what it is now.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story. And I love how it trickles also, and you've alluded to this with what you've been saying, but it trickles also to your customers
Mhm.
of them now having a piece that brings together family, that brings together conversation, that just brings everyone together. So tell me more about what you hope your pieces bring to someone as they have it on their mantle or as they gift it to someone, or what is that experience? What do you hope that looks like for them?
I think conversation. I mean, we live in a world of tech and we live in a world of busy, 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 go, go, go. And you're on your phone and you're rushing and you're doing this and you're doing that. And I miss just sitting and talking about things. And a lot of my customers are like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest. So when I traveled here, or when I did this, or when I played golf in Alaska, it was snowing. And, it just brings that sense of family, community, like, closeness back together. And I think it's just grounding to be able to sit with your people and to talk about your story and to talk about the past and to talk about things just in general. And that's, I mean, that's really what we're here for. Like, that's what speaks to our soul is not, you know, I don't know, having the most expensive things in the world, which most people will be like, oh, I'd love to be rich. And it's like, I'd love to be rich in memory and conversation and connection. Just in general, I think there's a lot of importance with being able to have a meaningful conversation and again be able to share a story or like, oh my gosh, they said they went to Alaska in October and that they were snowed on the whole time. I want to go to Alaska now. It sounds great, but I want to go in June. And then they're going to come back and they're going to talk about their trip to Alaska. So it just brings kind of a closeness, I guess, to people.
Yeah, and it shows in every single one of your pieces, like all of that intentionality
Thank
and
you.
wanting to build like that conversation among other families. I think that is a beautiful mission and it so shows in all of your products.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about the business side of things, okay?
Yes.
So you joined PBA this year. When? Was it May that you joined? Is that right?
January.
January of this year. Okay. Now tell me what was business like before you joined PBA?
Hard. Um, hard in a sense of like when you're starting from ground zero and you're trying to figure everything out, there's so much that behind the scenes that people don't see that happens, and so much of the like, how do you build a website? How do you build a social media following? How do you even start with an LLC? How do you get taxes? I mean, all of the things. I just felt like I was trying to do all of the work and trying to do all of the pieces. And it didn't matter how many hours I put in a day, I wasn't able to get enough hours to be able to figure out what the next step was. I mean, you can only ask Google and ChatGPT so many things before you're like, I still feel like I'm missing a piece of this. So it was very busy, very, I'm creating, but I'm also trying to figure this out. And I always just was like, I feel like I'm working in reverse. Like I have the creativity part of it and I figured out this part of it, but what I cannot figure out is how to manage my time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And talk to us too, because you were doing a lot of workshops back then too. So just
Yes.
paint the picture of what that was like for you.
So workshops, they were going great. I had quite a few loyal people that were following me. I did 2 to 4 a month. Um, but like in the summer, it's really busy in Wyoming. And so it was like crazy, crazy busy or nothing. And then it's cram, 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 all of the work, and then you're done. And then nothing. And then cram, cram, cram for the next workshop, and then nothing. So again, it was a little bit of like, what do I do in the nothing times to make the crazy times not seem so stressful? And also, how do I continue to build my business in the nothing times when I just worked my butt off and now I'm kind of tired from like the crash of that, I guess.
I remember when we had a one-on-one call, it was we came to the conclusion that it's your workshops were kind of like your markets,
Hmm.
right? Everyone else would
Very
have that
much.
same cram, 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 have a market weekend, and then it's over. And then it's like, okay, and now what? But
Yep.
yours was interesting because it was workshops. It's where you were actually promoting a workshop and selling a workshop and having people come in and you were walking them through the process of painting or creating or whatever it may have been.
Hmm.
So I remember when we had that conversation, it was like, all right, if that's what's taking up so much of your time, if that's where so much of your energy is going, number one, the question is, like, what is your long-term vision of your business and what do you want it to look like? And how do we set you up for success with that so you aren't working in reverse, which is what you were saying back then too.
Yep.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Can you paint the picture for me now of what your business is like? What are some of the amazing accomplishments you've had, like one of the stores you're in that is just flying? So tell us
Yes.
about it.
So like putting workshops on pause was literally life changing as far as business is concerned. Just because I had the time to again start on the foundation. So I don't feel like I ever had the foundation built. It was just like, oh my gosh, I did this one workshop and everybody loved it. Now everybody wants a workshop and they're wanting more designs and they're wanting more dates and they're wanting more this and wanting more that. And felt so much like again, yes, 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 I'll add a design, and I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll whatever. And it was just for workshops solely. And I was like, I want to have a broader range of people that I can reach. And I want to have something that's more signature for our business and that again can like tell a bigger story and do a bigger thing. And I still like workshops and I have only done one since we had our one-on-one call. But I actually felt like I could sit down and do my designs for my maps and do it with intention and not like, burning the midnight oil of I would really like to do this, but I can't even get my brain together enough to think about how to bring these to fruition. And so not feeling like I had to do, because I was doing workshops and markets. And so again, you're cramming for a workshop while in the meantime you're trying to cram for a market. And then you're like, I don't even know if this market has a lot of people that come to it. I mean, I never laid that groundwork of figuring out which markets I should go to or how I should do a workshop. And it just gave me time for clarity. And just the support, of I was terrified to say no to anybody saying, oh, well, I wish that there was this design. And it was like, okay, I'll come up with 3 of them then. And oh, well, I just wish that you would offer this date. Okay, perfect. I'll find somewhere else and I'll pay the fee to rent the space. And then one person signs up because they're like, oh, that date actually didn't work for me. And it was just like, So much yes, but none of the yes was like figuring out my base, I guess. So yeah, kind of in a roundabout way, I needed to pause on the craziness to be able to be like, okay, what do I want this to look like? And I don't want it to look like I am so stressed and cramming and up until 1 a.m. the night before a workshop, and then it's over, and then you're like, okay, cool. Like, now what do I do?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're a mom of two young boys, right?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
So
And my
that
boys
just,
are home with me most of the time. Yep.
yeah. So that also is like, I don't want to be cramming till 1 a.m. when I have
Mhm.
my kids I could be running around outside with, having a good
100%.
time.
Yes.
So talk to us about the store you're in, because that was one of your biggest shifts this year. I
Yes.
remember we had this conversation a couple months ago of when you first joined PBA, you were questioning to apply to this store, had a little bit imposter syndrome, and we had chatted in our community. It was like, yeah, go for it. Why not? And now you've had incredible success. So just
Yeah.
talk us through that train of thought then and how things have really opened up for you.
Oh, absolutely. So the amount of confidence that I've had since joining PBA is crazy as far as, again, business is concerned, especially when you feel like one, I don't know where my foundation is, and two, am I the only one that's struggling like this? And so when I said like, oh yeah, well, it was very nonchalant, like there's this store and one day I'd love to be in there, but I know that I couldn't be in there right now, but I've never applied, and now if I could apply, maybe, but they won't choose me, all of these things, and it was totally imposter syndrome. I shopped there way back when I was in college, and it was like, oh, I'd love to be able to do something like this one day. And then the opportunity came. They had never had people, like they never had booth areas, I guess you would maybe call it, for where I could sell my things in there that weren't like wholesale options and whatever. And so as that opportunity came open right at the perfect time, I was like, I don't think I could do that. I don't think they'd ever have that stuff there. It's all so cute and it's this and it's that. And I was like, no, no, just like don't talk yourself into it kind of thing. And then I talked to you and you were like, why not? What is it going to hurt? And I was like, okay, so I'll do it. Still in my head, I was like, I'll just do it for the sake of trying and for seeing what they say and blah 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 whatever. And so I was like so nervous and thought about it for a couple days and I was like, I'm just going to do it. Sent it within a day. She responded and was like, I absolutely love your stuff. I'd love to have you here. Can you come down and we can have a face-to-face conversation? And I was like, oh my gosh. But prior to PBA, I would not, I I don't want to say I never would have, but at that point and where I was at in business, I would not have had the confidence or clarity or anything to feel like I could have put in that application. And not only did I put in the application, but I've had amazing sales. I've had so many people reach out that have bought something and then reach out to me on social media and they're like, I bought this piece and I love it and I love your story. And I also saw you creating the piece on your Instagram feed and that's such a cool story and blah, blah, blah. And again, prior to PBA and having again, the community, the group, obviously an amazing coach. I don't know that I could have gotten past my imposter syndrome without years and trying to think I can only do this once this is perfect.
Hmm. And that small shift, like it's a small shift. It's a big shift in terms of mental shift,
Hmm.
but it's a simple shift. You sometimes just need someone in your corner to help you with that, right?
Yep.
But what you've told me is you've had some sales months in this store that have been $4,000 in sales from this
Yep.
one store.
From one store.
That is incredible.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely would have never thought that that was going to be a thing. I've not had any months since being there that I was in the hole or that I didn't cover, um, fees and different things. And again, like I had no idea what to expect. And honestly, when they told me like, oh, this is what you pay a month to be able to have your stuff here, I was like, oh my gosh, how do people do this? Like, how do they have the confidence to know that they're not just going to lose money month after month? And mine was like, okay, Monica said I can do this. She has confidence in me, along with my family, of course. But I didn't have that confidence in myself to be like, I can do this. And it was just like you saying, you have your foundation right now. Why not? why not go for it? Let's just see what happens. And it was like, okay, I feel like I have a really shaky foundation. And it was like, okay, you know what? Actually, I can do this.
Oh, I love it. Can you tell us the story of the Highland cow? So what this piece
Yes.
was that you created and what happened in that store with it?
Yeah. So I had this wild hair and saw this Highland cow. Well, actually, our friends had Highland cows at the time, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, these are the coolest thing!" And then I saw an art piece of it of like a Highland cow sitting in a bathtub, and I was like, "I need to create a Highland cow of some sort." So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna figure out how to do this, and I'm gonna figure out how I can cut this with my laser, and I'm going to, I mean, the thought process just started rolling, and so it was the by far the biggest piece that I had ever done. It was 3 foot by 3 foot by the time I was done. I wanted it on a reclaimed wood backer with a reclaimed frame. I had all of those ideas in my mind, but I was like, I don't exactly know how I even do this. So, anyway, I started just trial and error, and it ended up being, I think it was 67 pieces just for the cow by the time it was done of hand shaping and priming and painting and doing all the different things. And then I was like, it has to have a leather wrap on the horns. And, I just kind of worked through the process like that. And I got done with it and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this feels like next level for what I had started with. And I was like, I'm going to try to sell this. And then it was like, I don't think I can sell this. So I put it on my own wall for a little bit. And then I was like, I got into the store that I'm in and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take it down and see what happens. And it sat there for a little while, and I was like, I wonder if my pricing is off, or I wonder, all of these different things. I was totally imposter syndrome in my head again. And then I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to let it sit there. If nothing else, it tells a story. And I get this message on Instagram at like 9 o'clock at night. And this girl was like, I'm visiting from South Carolina. I am absolutely in love with this Highland cow. If we can figure out how to ship it to South Carolina, I'll be buying it tomorrow. And I was like, heart attack almost. I was like, there's no way. And so she said, like, I fell in love with it when it was in the store. And then I got on your Instagram and saw the story on here, and it's so meaningful. I have to have it. And so, yeah, we figured out how we were going to get it shipped to her, and she bought it, and it's in South Carolina, and it's telling a whole story of its own. But
Oh, that
yeah.
is such a fun story. And to paint the picture of what this piece looks, I mean, people have to, of course, go to
Mhm.
your Instagram and see all your beautiful pieces. But how I would explain it is it's kind of like a puzzle. So when you say that you took these pieces of wood, 60 plus pieces of wood, and hand shaped each one, they're different colors or different shades, different stains. And it's kind of like a puzzle how it all comes together. And it's so stunning, so beautiful. And how much did you charge for that piece?
1390, I believe. It was $1,400 by the time, yeah, after tax.
Uh-huh. That's
Yep.
amazing. And then
Yep.
shipping, did the customer pay for shipping on top of it?
Yep. Which was an additional $400 for shipping.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how incredible that you created a piece that
Yep.
essentially sold for $1,800.
Yes. Yeah.
How amazing.
Yeah, did not ever in my universe see that being a thing. And yeah, it was so humbling and so like just amazing. Yeah, just the whole
So
experience.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about another part of PBA because you went through the rebrand process and I know that you had such a good experience. So just talk us through what your brand was like before. Was it DIY and what was it to go through that rebrand process and how do you feel with your current branding?
100% was DIY. And again, I really thought about the name and I really thought about the font and I really thought about, what I wanted it to look like. And I was scared to go through the rebrand. And I spent a long time kind of deep diving and thinking about like, what what is my purpose? Who do I want to meet for customers? What do I want to land? Where am I at with this? And the thing that I was sold on, the biggest thing is that, the background of what my logo was me and my husband, our kids, and my parents walking away from our photographer. And I was like, that embodies what we do and that embodies like our story. And so I was so worried and I was like, I don't want to change a name and I don't want to do this. And going through the rebrand, like Kendra's amazing. And she said, you don't have to get rid of that in its entirety, but I think that this font speaks a little bit more. I think that these color schemes are a little bit more of, um, she just was so encompassing in her thought and in what we worked on together that like now I can't see myself putting anything other than my little logo badge on my stuff. And yeah, her vision and my vision completely aligned. And it was like next level as far as confidence, again, even just in what I had. Like, yeah, I can't even explain going from, again, the DIY to a professional brand and how much different it makes just everything look as far as our business is concerned. And again, it's like I see the little family tree that we have, and I'm like, yep, that's 100% mine. I've put it on shirts. It's on all of my products now, but just the confidence that comes from having something that feels professional and feels like it has its full story is awesome.
Yeah. And I hear that a lot with people who go through the rebrand process or when people are contemplating to join PBA Platinum or not, which
Mhm.
is, oh, I love my existing logo and it means so much to me and it's my baby. Like this is what I created when I first started.
Yep.
And I love how you said that Kendra will align the vision. So it's not going to be this a massive identity crisis that all of a sudden your business is neons and pinks and
Yes.
yellows, which would be
Yes.
totally different from like the reclaimed wood and the more earthy colors. It's
Yes.
not going to be a shift in identity. It's going to be an elevation of your current identity. And it's going to just connect you even further to your purpose, your mission, your story, your customers. So I love having you share that of, yes, there was some hesitation, but then the
Yep.
end result was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't actually see my business any other way other than what it is right now.
100%. And when I kind of DIY'd mine, I had my font looked a little bit like handwriting. And the crazy thing is, I did my call with her before we finalized everything. And one of the fonts is a handwriting font, and it matches almost 100% what my husband's grandma's handwriting was. And she was a huge person in his life, and she passed from cancer when he was 16. And so when she pulled that up, I was like, oh my gosh, like the same font I have engraved on a cutting board for my husband that was his grandma's handwriting. And she was like, no way. But
Yeah.
I mean, she 100% does hers with heart, and it shows. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, another question I want to ask you is tell me about what it's been like being part of PBA with the community, with the in-person events, because you came to our March in-person event.
Yep.
And you also came to our October in-person event, which was just for PBA Mastermind members. But just tell us what it's like to be part of the community and to be able to participate in those events.
Oh my gosh, it's like growth on a whole different level. Um, there's just something amazing about being in a room full of people that are also having the same business worries or struggles or fears or different things. Like as a small business owner, you are constantly thinking, because again, it's like you said, it's your baby. I mean, you want everything to go right, you want everything to be perfect. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm worried that I don't have this many followers, or I'm worried that I don't have this going on. And you go to this in-person event and you find out a lot of people are having the same thing. And then you have, again, an amazing coach that's like makes you think deeper of just surface level, and it really makes you tap into um like a lot of the setback is your own fear or your own past experience or your own whatever. And everybody's kind of going through the same struggles, and everybody is there to support you. And if it's not something that they've personally dealt with, or it is something that they've dealt with and it's kind of a new situation for them, like you just have this amazing community of like-minded individuals, and like there's just so much support. And even in like the PBA videos, I you're not even live with me in the videos, and I still feel like you're speaking to me and to my business and the knowledge again, and just like just the support is crazy. Even in the Facebook group, I mean, the lives were life changing. Again, I mean, literally one word was equanimity. And I looked at my business completely different after that. It didn't feel like if I'm not high, high, that I am failing. And if I'm low, low, that I'm definitely failing. And I need to like find something different to do with my life. Um, just the growth. all together and the people and in the mindset and in what is happening is just like I can't even put words to it. It's amazing.
Yeah. Do you still keep in touch with some of the people that you met in person at the events?
Oh yeah, yeah. I probably from the first go around, I'm thinking what were there like 30 something of us
Mhm.
that were there? Yeah. So at least half of them I still am in decent contact with. Everybody from Mastermind, I've bought products from a lot of the a lot of the PBA members. I just got an art piece in the mail from one of the ones that was there in March and yeah, the support again, even outside of just our Facebook group or outside of the live events, is like all of us are still cheering each other on and liking posts and talking and like, I had this weird situation. What would you have done if this happened to you? Or I had this really awesome review, and it's just like hype man on a different level for everybody that's just so supportive.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love hearing that because I think that's a special part, you know?
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
yes, there's a teaching is in the knowledge, but if you can find a community where it doesn't feel like you're doing this on your own, like you're on a lonely island, that just makes everything 10 times better. Now, I want to ask you two more final questions. The first one being, what would you tell someone who's on the fence about joining PBA?
Oh my gosh. So I would say I was also on the fence about joining PBA, and I was thinking, this is a huge investment, and can I do this? Am I worthy of this? Again, like all of the things are going through your mind, like, is my business actually going to be this successful, or am I wasting my money on this? 100% no, join it. um, the investment is totally worth it. It just, I knew after I did the live before I had even joined, the amount of people that were in there, the amount of people that were already PBA members that had joined and were just sitting in there and listening. And same thing with the PBA Live. Like there were people that came 2 years in a row. That's amazing. And that was the biggest investment minus my machines that I had in my business. And I was terrified. And I have found out, yes, it was a huge investment for the business, but it was more of an investment in myself and like the confidence to be able to run a business with a CEO mindset, not a questioning mindset, and like, am I doing this right? Am I cut out for this? Whatever. I really didn't know what to expect. I was like, a lot of people on here are doing skincare and they're doing hair care and they're doing candles and they're doing things like this. And I was thinking, mine is so different than that as far as decor is concerned, that I was like, oh my gosh, I could be doing like the wrong thing entirely. I don't know what's happening right now or why I feel like this is such a strong pull for me to do this. And hands down, best decision that I've ever made.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Well, Chelsea, share with us where people can find you, your social media, your website, anything else you want to share so they can keep in touch, so they can see your amazing artwork. Share with us all those details.
Absolutely. So I have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Families Creations LLC, and it's FAMILYS for families.
Mhm.
And then website is just fm-cs.com. You can find me on my website. Etsy is in progress. It will be up soon. And yeah, I have little promos that I do on Instagram from time to time. And yeah, you can follow along with the whole story and see me and my kids and everybody creating in the workshop and the chaos that goes into it. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, I'll link that in the show notes so people can easily find you. Thank you so much, Chelsea. So fun chatting with you, and thank you for
Thank
being here.
you. You're amazing.